Good morning, all my gorgeous friends. It's so good to have you here. We've got several other people joining, and we will let them in as the call progresses. You've all been waiting for this call for a very long time. You know, it's unfortunate. Emily Stewart and I are just so popular that finding time in our busy schedule has been a challenge.
We've
But
been trying since Halloween. This is
we genuinely
Halloween in
have.
February. Yes, yeah.
Exactly. And we've been planning it for even longer than that because this is an annual thing. It just Halloween comes at a different time every year.
That's right.
I have Emily Stewart here today, and I have never, I do this every single time I give this. Everyone thinks it's hyperbole, but really, I'll be straight with you. The thing I like about Emily Stewart is she is like mad genius. She's so smart, and I admire smart people. I admire people with whip smart minds that can match you in a chat. They already know what you're going to talk about, and they've thought about it deeply, and they've got and they teach you something every single time you talk to them. But the girl's got style. I mean, Emily, you were like the first one. I started noticing how much I actually liked you when I would post pictures of my fur coats and things that like I loved. And there wasn't an eye roll anywhere from Emily. There was a, well, look at this one I picked up, and it was even more wild. I
I
mean,
love your style, Daniela.
because the thing is, you're brave, and I like you speak to the part of me that wants to dive into life. And have you always been brave? Have you always been
Oh,
unapologetically yourself when you were a child, or was it hard won?
that is an interesting question. I would say I'm still not unapologetically myself. I think some of us just kind of maybe like we we can't help it, but it doesn't necessarily mean we're brave. Like it's we don't always feel brave about it, and we don't always even feel good about it, but it's just sort of what we got to do. So I think I told someone this earlier today, and I think that it's probably the best way to explain it. I take being silly very seriously, and I think that it's a really important approach to life, but not everyone agrees with that, so it's hard to do sometimes.
Do you, I've got so many questions for you.
Can I also
Yes.
give my own little introduction? Okay, so like
Oh, of
this
course.
is this is not what I would like to have had on for today for our Halloween episode. This is what I could find at the last minute because I'm not home right now. I'm in Los Angeles, and I didn't realize until too late that I didn't have like the wig and the costume that I had planned on wearing to chat with Daniela. So I do need to take the hat off because it is falling off my head on the back. So I won't have that on for today, but I did want to appear in my in my initial costume garb. What we've decided is that we have some little things that we can do throughout our chat with each other that we can just sort of casually pop up, maybe like a little something like this,
And for
or
someone that didn't prepare, for somebody that's saying they're not prepared, you were giving Mork and Mindy, Cowboy Mork and Mindy vibes. So,
that's
I
great.
mean,
That's great. I love
you
it.
were still
I love
hitting
it.
on this.
We're just gonna casually through, we might just see a few little iterations of some silly fun things. So that's,
Along the
yeah.
theme of sense of humor. Okay, so I have a couple of questions for you.
Yes.
One stemming from something you just said, and one stemming from a conversation I had with a friend today, and things that I've been figuring out about life, and I would love your take on it. Um,
Okay.
the first one is, do you find or have you experienced that when you are because you are in touch of your sense of laughter and the silly side of yourself, that people don't seem to get it? Sometimes they take you less seriously or think you're not as smart as they are because you're not being beige and serious. Do you,
Yeah,
and
I think
how do
that's
you
definitely the case.
counteract that?
I don't. I mean, it's up to them, it's on them. But I do think that anyone that talks to me for a longer period of time is kind of like, oh, okay. I
She's a
think we
genius.
can no, I don't know about that, but I think we can have
You're
like
a
a meeting of the
genius.
minds, with
You're a
it.
genius.
So I thank you, Daniela. But I do think that it's just I don't know. Like, what's the point of being serious all the time? So that we can get things done? Why can't we get things done being fun? It's a question that has actually been coming up a lot over the last few days. And so I feel like I've personally asked myself, where do I stand on this? And I think that is where I stand on it. I think what I said earlier today in a conversation about taking being silly very seriously is actually kind of my approach to life at the moment. So, and I think that we've all got, I mean, there's like 8 billion people.
Yeah.
If we were all the same, it would be so incredibly boring and dull. I mean, there's no two plants that are the same. There's no two cows that are the same. Like, why would we want all people to be the same? It's a natural course of events for us all to have a different way of looking at things. And I think that those of us are maybe like on the outskirts a little bit sometimes. As long as we have a good heart, I think people see that more than anything. I think it's a boon to connection instead of a barrier to it a lot of times. I think people get
Do you
interested in
feel
stuff that's
connected?
different.
Do you feel
Yeah.
connected to people? So like when like all those big groups when somebody posts something horrible that's happened and then all these people go on and saying, I feel you, I feel the same way. Do you feel like part of those groups? Because I don't ever feel like part of groups.
I
Ever.
think it depends. I think it depends what that topic is and what it is that's being covered. I guess I'd need a little bit of a more specific example, but I think that the way that I tend to feel a part of groups, my favorite, in a group, there's like a lot of different roles, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's got kind of some of people are just sort of, faces in the group. Some people are leaders of the group. I always like to be, and I found this throughout my life. I do struggle a little bit to kind of join in on groups like later on, once kind of all of the rules and norms are in place and everyone kind of knows what's going on. But I love starting groups. And I love being someone who helps facilitate groups for other people. And I think you have found a very particular role in doing that, that
I
you've
love doing that.
crafted. And yeah, you've crafted this entire community. And I think it can be easier sometimes when you're the one that is setting those rules and norms because you're not trying to guess other people's expectations. And so, you have a good idea of what makes for a good conversation. You have a good idea of what makes for a welcoming space for people to be. You have a good idea of what makes for something fun. And so when you're the one setting the rules and norms for that, then people are enjoying it. But when you're trying to sort of guess at how other people are perceiving things to try to be part of a group, or you don't quite click with the way that things are going, then yeah, it's harder. But I don't think that that's anything wrong with anybody. I think everyone just kind of has their certain place where they fit in best.
But do you think that fitting in is crucial to success?
No, no, I don't.
Really?
No. As a matter of fact, I think that some of the most successful things that happen, it's all people that stand out.
That's interesting. And which is a subject that we brought up when we first started this call, because you mentioned that you're not on social media so much anymore. And
That's right.
I'd
Yeah.
love to
We've both
hear
kind of stepped away from that, haven't we?
how did that evolve? If you feel like sharing, if you're comfortable sharing.
Oh yeah. No, I think it's a pretty common experience actually. I mean, there's study after study after study shows that it's just garbage for your mental health and for your satisfaction with life and even for your connections with people. And I just was finding all of that to be true. So I decided to just go away. I think that a lot of it came out of, when certain political things were happening toward the beginning of the year. I have loved ones who work for the federal government, and um, there was a lot of, talk about like following people on social media. And so we had discussions about getting rid of our social media. That's kind of the first moment where I was like, I'm just going to delete this for a while. And then I found that the effect on my life in general was very positive. So thank you, President Trump, for encouraging me to make some good changes. And it has ended up sticking. And yeah, I kind of went on and off a little bit to sort of let people know, like, hey, I didn't block you. I'm just kind of not here anymore. Because that can happen too. People think that you got upset with them or that you blocked them and they just
I
didn't know.
actually, it happened to me because when
Yeah.
I did your promo for Halloween and you weren't there. I was like, wait, because I went to tag you on the promo. I was like, did she block? I don't think I've ever even noticed if anyone's blocked me. I've probably been blocked a zillion times and not known. But I was like, hold on a minute. Did she block
Absolutely
me?
not. No, no, I don't even block people like, and I love you. I don't even block people I don't like.
That you
Like
should
I
block.
always, yeah, I always feel like, it's an open thing as if I were, going to the
Yeah.
grocery store, I might run into someone there or whatever. So I've never even been someone who really like block. I mean, I might have done it like once or twice if there was some kind of issue with weird messages or something, something like that.
It was an instant thought. And then I thought, well, no, Daniela, she's coming on Cup of Joe to have a conversation with you,
Yeah.
and she will. So she's probably not blocking.
It's not some
But
secret that I, yeah.
it's a skewed world, isn't it? And do you know what? That I've been off it since November. I went off in the beginning of November. I had every intention of coming back on when I opened Cup of Joe back on. The only reason I went on social media was to post promo. That's
Hmm.
it. And I got right off. I don't read notifications. I don't watch videos of Instagrammers. But just this last week, I've realized that A, I'm a happier person. And B, there are a lot of working narrators that aren't on Facebook. There are a
There
lot of
really
working
are, aren't
narrators
there?
that we don't know. And
We
so
keep
that means it's
thinking.
not, you don't
Hmm.
have to be on Facebook. You don't have to be the most popular kid on Facebook.
Now, I will say, the one thing I do miss about Facebook is being a bigger part of the narrator communities because I don't narrate as much anymore. I'm more on the production side of things. And so I'm sort of, on a one-to-one level, I still text with people, I still meet up with people. I still very much consider myself to be, first and foremost kind of part of that crowd. Um, but I spend most of my time now with a different group of folks. And so I do miss that part. I miss feeling more connected to my narrator peers. But part of being on the production side and seeing, casting databases and that kind of thing, like there are so many narrators I've never heard of who are working all the time. We
Yeah.
tend to think it's just this real small knit group of just the people that we know, and just the people that are online and just the people that we see over and over again. But it's not. It's not
And
at
what is
all.
our place in that hierarchy, in that group?
Yep.
And
And it can
what does
start to
that
make you
say
feel
about
like,
us and our
yep.
career? But there are
Yeah,
a lot of
yeah.
narrators making a fortune being booked regularly by big publishers.
And guess what else, Daniela? There's also a lot of people who don't even narrate audiobooks. Like, hard to
No,
believe there's a world outside of this, but
I
there's
don't
also
believe
a
that
lot of
actually.
people that aren't even in that structure at all whatsoever, and they're living full, happy lives.
Yeah, I feel sorry for those people.
It does exist. It does exist. But yeah, I do miss being a part of those sort of ongoing day-to-day conversations. That is the one thing that I do miss about not being on Facebook anymore.
Yeah, that's the one thing I don't miss. I don't miss
Really?
it. I don't miss it at all. I had a moment of weakness the other night, and I happened to look into like one of the groups I used to like always, or actually two of the groups I used to always love. And it was a lot of people talking about how hard it was. And guess what I dreamt about all night? Like AI kept knocking on my door and I
Oh,
couldn't get up and get it fast enough. And it was gonna like burn our house down. It was my insurance set up because I was subconsciously picking up other people's fear. I don't think I
mm.
have a boundary. I don't miss it. I don't miss the conversation.
I think that's a really astute observation. And I think that's why it tends to be difficult for people's mental health is because we do pick up on all of the angst and all of the
Yeah.
turmoil that's on those scrolls, like just keep doom scrolling and you're putting all that in your mind and in your soul. And it's just kind of, rolling around in there and making your insides agitated without you realizing it consciously. So
It's
yeah, I think,
shaping your reality. And also it's like those health groups. I've never been on them for more than like half a second, but like occasionally you'll go on that like eye problems health group for this specialist problem or whatever. And and all the people, I mean, you're running to I swear you'd be in like an ambulance 20 minutes later, like sure you were dying. And that's how it felt having been away from it for a few months.
Yeah.
It felt, and I had to remind myself, probably the narrators that are busy aren't on this particular thread because they're busy.
That could be
So
true.
the
Yeah.
people that aren't worried, you're going to get people that are worried and that are in their head. You're not going to get the people that are busy doing,
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah. You've
putting
always got to
down
kind of
people. I'm not
No,
putting
no,
anything
but
down.
I think it's important when you're taking the information in from any group to consider sort of the makeup of that group and what the source of the information is. Because that's also a good observation. If there are people that are anxious about this and are looking for answers, and this is where they're looking for answers, and then they're the ones contributing to the conversation, it becomes a little bit of an echo chamber. And I don't
Yeah.
think that that is at all uh relegated to our conversations in this world of audiobooks. I think
No,
that's what's
it's
happening in
everything online.
every,
That's
mhm,
why
yes, yeah,
saying the health thing, it's everything online. The people you're reading are people that are going online because something's upsetting them or they're looking for an answer or that, do you know what
yeah.
I mean? If
And then they're
it's,
bringing it there and it kind of
yes,
regurgitates. Yeah.
yeah. So it's
Did you
definitely
know
not
that
this.
there's a common thing amongst medical school students that as soon as they start to learn all of the different things that can be wrong with you, they start to think that all the different things are wrong with them. So yeah, I think it can kind of be the same thing. It's like I might get online and find out about a problem I didn't even know existed or that I had, and then I'm worried about it. And I didn't need
It
that. So
it comes down to personal responsibility, doesn't it, though? Because maybe some people are just fine scrolling around and I know a lot of people get a lot back from knowing that it's not just them. A lot of people,
mhm,
the people that say, "Oh, narrating is a lonely job. I miss seeing people at the coffee machine." Those people probably get a lot because that's their virtual coffee machine.
yeah.
I hated people at the coffee machine and used to wait till there was nobody there to get my coffee.
Yeah. So I think this is a good point. It's like everything I I'm always a little hesitant to believe anyone's advice when they say, I know the way that you need to do this, or I know the way that you need to approach this. Because every single thing that I see that someone says that, there's an equal reason why it might be better for someone to do it the other way. And it really just depends on the individual person. So I think when I see, a coach or a someone saying like this is the only way to do it. I always like to think of things as being on sort of a sliding scale, and sort of, if you have, like you said, if you have a tendency to be stressed out by those social interactions or feel like you're having trouble navigating them, or they cause you to get more in your head and less confident about your career or your performance, then maybe back off of that.
Yeah.
Go in the direction that you need to go. If you're someone that, like you said, it feels better if you know, oh gosh, I'm not alone in this, and then it gives you the confidence to move forward with something, then go for it. I think everybody's got sort of a different set of needs. And so it really isn't so much what is the answer? What is the answer out there that someone can tell me? It's more really evaluating who you are and what you need
Personal
and which direction.
responsibility.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which
And
direction you need to go with things.
the same with coaches. You bring coaches up. It's not fair. I used to see a whole bunch of like they would join the business and actors did this as well. And they'd go to the coaches, but they would only go to the coaches that they thought could like, I went to this coach. So that would like be a step up in their career. And so then they go to the coach, and if something doesn't work, they blame the coach. But the thing is you need to go for a reason and have something you want to learn from them. And then
Mhm.
it's your responsibility to take that filter it. And then like at some point you have to own
Yeah. And that's
your
hard.
role.
That's
Yeah.
hard. I want to be very clear about that so that no one feels like, oh gosh, I'm falling behind. It is hard to take responsibility for your own life and choices. That's the entire work of being alive.
Yeah.
So no fault to you for struggling to understand or move forward with that. It's, if anyone out there is feeling that way, it's the entire work of living. So it just keep going, doing your best one day at a time. Another thing that people, I think, struggle with a bit is that our needs change. Our needs change throughout our lives. Our needs change day to day. And so it can be a little bit tough sometimes to um, get comfortable with the dynamics of our own interpersonal requirements, I think.
Yeah. But as you said, if you're doing your job, which is living and becoming more yourself, more actualized, and you're taking responsibility for yourself, you should know yourself better. But if you're
Hmm.
outsourcing that responsibility all the time to coaches and teachers and everyone else, and it's always someone else's decision, it's always someone else's fault, then you're not guiding your own ship, are you?
Here's what I think someone in that position does know about themselves. They want to improve.
Yeah.
They want something to get better. They know that. And they're kind of, if we're used to a room with an overhead light and we're walking in the dark, we might trip and fall into something, or we might, um, have an instance where we go in the wrong direction. So I think that that happens a lot. I think that the more that you walk around, maybe you find a candle or a flashlight, and then you've got like a little bit more light in front of you. And then maybe you can go look for a lamp and then you can turn that on. And then the light from that lamp helps
Yeah.
you be able to see the overhead light. So everyone's on this journey of just trying to find out a little bit more about themselves all the time. And some are moving more quickly than others, some are more scared than others are, some are more reckless than others are, which is not always a bad thing. Um, yeah, I think everyone's just kind of on their own path and on their own journey. So I don't know if it's like we should know ourselves better. I think we know ourselves as well as we do, and that offers a little bit of illumination for the next thing we can learn.
I love that. And don't get me wrong, I believe in coaching. Like I'm gonna always get coaching my whole life. I've taken some of the biggest leaps of my life through coaching. But yeah, but I have a blind spot for people that don't, in my eyes, think for themselves. And you've made me see it in a different
Maybe
perspective.
thinking, at that level or in that way, is just a year away for them. You know, they're not stuck where they are, and they might not even be that way in every aspect of their life. This might just be the area where they're, seeing this coach and the people that worked with them have done this with their career. And so obviously, if I go do that, that's going to help me. And then it doesn't. And then they're disappointed and they feel like they spent a lot of money and they don't understand why. And it takes a couple more times of trying something different to learn, oh, it's me. I had to do this. And I think everyone's just kind of on that progression and learning journey.
That's really, you know what? That's really genius. Told you. No,
I'm
because
trying to receive this because it feels good to hear, Daniela, but it's also, I don't
but
even
no,
know what that word means to try to live up to. I hope that I continue to make you feel this way.
it means to me, when I say genius, it means the exact thing that I'm saying that I value as a person is someone that takes responsibility and ownership and is just a clear, sharp mind, always trying to navigate and think the fairest, the smartest, the best response, action, way to be. Your mind is somebody that can challenge me, basically. Okay, let's just be as narcissistic as we can here.
You're the genius, Daniela. Yes, I like this.
But that's the truth. I do have a blind spot, and I've only recently come to terms with it, that I make assumptions. Whereas my whole personality is, oh, I'm weird, I'm different, nobody understands me. What I have to take some responsibility myself that maybe I don't understand people that are different than me. We're not perfect. I always thought because I could empathize with people, I could get on a call and I could like see into your soul. I always thought that made me like really insightful. But no, I've got judgy all over there. I've got, really? Really? You're so lazy. You're just gonna tick the boxes and not do the craft. And I've got judgy like left, right, and center.
I
And
think
that's the
I think
job.
the real I don't know. I think the real point is just that we all do. I mean,
Yeah.
whether we realize it or not, it comes to us every day, opportunities for us to respond with judgment or curiosity. And judgment is not a bad thing. I mean, it's the same thing as discernment, right? Like we have to discern what's good and bad for us. And that's based on the information we have and the choices that we make about it. That's all that judgment is. It's just that we get a lot of opportunities throughout the day to kind of question whether the information we have is really the most accurate or if it's based on judgments of other. It's almost, whoa, I just had a thought. It's almost like this thing of AI where it's like training AI on itself and then it's kind of coming up with all these weird hallucinations that don't make sense. It's almost like we do that with our own judgments about things. And that's where we end up with like stereotypes and that's where we end up with bad decisions based on like old things that happen that don't apply anymore. Because we're like making judgments based off of judgments and they're not based
Yeah.
off of real information.
I have a theory about AI, about ChatGPT actually in particular. I think that for the people that are like crazy about ChatGPT that love it, I'm not going to name which side of the wall I fall on that, but I think that you're talking into a silo when you're
Mm,
talking to ChatGPT. You're training it in the way you want it to talk back to you, and you're talking to yourself.
yeah, it's almost more like a mirror than anything, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I
So
will
I
say the
really
one thing
like that a lot.
I think I get a bit of a reputation as like someone that hates AI. And like, don't get me wrong, I think there's a lot of things to say about why it maybe isn't the best way to go when it comes to jobs like emotional work of humans teaching each other to be human. I think that it throws a big monkey wrench into that whole system, and that's dangerous for everybody. But I do really love the way it helps me organize my thoughts. I really
Nice.
like being able to type a bunch of stuff into it and be like, how do I structure this better? Or because it's the work I would be doing on my own, but it helps me do it a little bit faster.
Yeah, I think that
So
you have to discern the difference between it. I'm biased because I had chronic fatigue syndrome and spent
yeah,
5 years incredibly ill. And I am now walking 3 hours every morning at 8:30 in the morning and healthier than I've been in years and
good
feeling
for
positive
you,
about the
Daniela.
future. I've worked through every single years of therapy, which I've never liked. And I would never, ever, ever have ChatGPT create for me. But
Yeah,
what I have
I
had it do
it's tough.
is reassure me about what I've created. What is your
Interesting.
perception about this? Do you
Oh,
think
I
this
like that
sounds
thought. I haven't even tried use it. I barely use it. I mean, I really I I've never even really gotten that into exploring it. And I keep wanting to because I'm sure there are many more great applications, but that's a fascinating one. Yeah,
I
that's
didn't
really
mean
cool.
to go to it. I'm not, and to be fair, the supplements it suggested and the things it suggested, I went and checked with a pharmacist before I took them. Again, I take responsibility. I'm not going to like take my health, for AI. But the difference is every single thing I ever put down in my very long health history, it remembered. And when I went to the GP finally, having lost 45 pounds and walking 3 hours a day, the GP was asking me how to get on ChatGPT and what ChatGPT said about my diagnosis. So
Wow.
I just feel like, no, I don't love a few men and billionaires. And I do get that, like, there are horrible, horrible parts of it. And no, I don't think ChatGPT should create art or narrate or try to make beautiful things because it doesn't have a soul. But what you said, organizing and mirroring back to you what you sometimes need to work out for yourself, you're gonna hide in the house under the covers and pretend that AI is not there because that's not gonna help anything.
Yeah. I just think that creating, it's what you said before, like I wouldn't want it to create stuff. Creating something is intrinsically good for me. You
Yeah.
know? It's good. It processes emotions. It takes everything that we experience and it makes sense out of them. I think that when we offload that onto a machine,
You can't. It's
we're
a
making our,
copy.
well, I don't even, I'm not even thinking of it in terms so much as the output from the machine. I'm thinking of what it does to us.
Yeah.
Like children need finger painting. High school students need their, spring showcase choir performance. Uh, Eighth graders need to put on Romeo and Juliet. We do these things not because they're fun. We do them because as human beings, we are emotional creatures that require a creative outlet. And
And
so even if
it puts us in life as opposed to watching it from
Mhm.
a screen.
And even if it's a bad output, like there are so many people that are there are so many people that are mediocre at so many jobs. I mean, it's just true. Like that no one can be the best at everything. And honestly, I've had conversations with people about this. I mean, there needs to be some sort of an economy that makes room for mediocre art. It's important to our emotional health that everybody creates and everybody makes art. And this idea that the only art that is worthwhile is the best of the best based on popular opinion, I guess, it doesn't serve us as a species. We need room for people who aren't that good to feel like it is worthwhile for them to do these things.
Personally, I think the ones that win the popular opinion are the mediocre art.
Sometimes that's the case too. I've never quite understood a lot of the, what goes into the criterion for judging certain things and all of that. But I know that we do like to celebrate all of that and that it becomes a very big deal. But it can make people feel like their own creativity is nowhere near enough. And that's just false. Every single person is a creative being, and there needs to be some way for that to be part of. I mean, we used to have arts in schools. We've just chopped it out of so many places. It's not good for people. It's not good for our emotional health. It makes us sick. I mean, we can see in the ways that society has kind of developed since we've removed a lot of these humanities that we're becoming less human in a lot of ways. And we need to understand why that's happening and not think it's just about efficiency. Being human is not efficient.
But
We aren't
you
machines.
see the word you used, enough, because I
Hmm.
think that is a big, big thing, a huge point. And if I could say one thing to any narrator out there, any actor out there, is enough for what? Because creating is the point in itself. The
Yes.
act of creating breaks us and then stitches us back up again. A
Yeah.
good writer
Yeah.
can change our soul.
Yes. And a good, I wouldn't even say it's the good writer that changes your soul. It's that you took part in that process. I just had the same thing happen this week. I wrote something. I I really enjoyed working on it. I ran it by a couple other people. They loved it. And then I put it out there to some decision makers and they were just a no. They did not find it. It was supposed to be very funny. I don't think they even found it amusing. And it was just like, I'm actually okay with whatever decision gets made here because I had so much fun working on this that I really just am glad that it happened. And and then the result was that some conversations happened that might have moved the needle on something. So like we don't know what the effect is going to be of something that we put out there. It can have some far-reaching effects, well into the future that we don't even know what the purpose is. Maybe it's not that it found a certain audience right here. Maybe it is that it started a conversation or that it was just this one person that saw it and it made them want to make something else. And then that made the universe is so vastly interconnected in ways that we can never possibly understand. And I just think it's really important to follow those creative calls. But if you've got so many people that think that whatever they follow that creative call with is not good enough, or if they can't make the money to sustain themselves based on the work that they are called to do,
Yeah.
we run into some really uh, big consequences on the negative side for society as a whole and for kind of the emotional health of humanity.
Yeah. I did that for years. I did that jobs that killed my soul, but then I kept acting on the side and used time. But the other thing is the industry is going to do what the industry does and see the people that you present something to, they might not laugh. The people you audition for, and that was the one thing because I'd taken a break from social media, my wise self was saying, whereas I might not have before, when I was reading those threads about scarcity and why are people not hiring as much and why is it so hard out there? And when I was reading that, in my mind, I was thinking there are two different things. And industries do change, and they change what they're chasing and what they're looking at and what they're looking for. Oh, that is adorable. And they change often, right? And so during one storm, you might be the popular pick. You might be lucky enough to fit into what they're looking for right now. 4 months from now, they're going to be looking for something completely different. But your job is not to shapeshift into what the industry is looking for right now. Your job is, as Elizabeth Gilbert says in Big Magic, that the ideas and the creativity are floating around the world in bubbles. And if I'm completely mangling whatever she said, but I'm getting the
No,
idea.
I know the part you mean.
And she said, if you don't grab it, that idea, someone else is going to grab that idea. Our job is to grab that creative idea every single time it comes to us. And then just all we can do is our best right now.
Hmm.
We're never going to
Hmm.
be, we're never going to be, maybe I remember one time somebody gave me a job in like a thriller and she said, you're becoming like the master of psychological thrillers, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, I must be. Look at me. I was really impressed with myself for about 10 minutes after I got that email. I was like, I am just like, and then I think it was like 6 months later, I couldn't get I couldn't get a psychological thriller if I tried. You know
And
what I
yet,
mean?
I want to call this out because that 10 minutes, okay, so this is the power that we have also to encourage other people, right? Everyone is walking around wondering if what they're doing is good enough. And, maybe there are some people that are confident that are going through a part of life where they feel like what they're doing is good enough. That's great. That's not most people. It does happen. But we have this idea that everyone else has it all figured out. And we're the only ones that aren't sure if we're fitting into that. And it's just not true. Even if someone's got confidence in one area of the life, they don't have it in another. And they're like, we always have the power to look at someone and say, hold up a mirror. Hey, you're beautiful. You are perfect just as you are. You like to show them this. We have the ability to do this with the way we speak to them, with the way that we see them, with the way that we treat them, with the words that we give to them. And so I feel like one of the best practices that I've come across that helps me personally, but also spreads that to others is I feel like I'm always trying to be on the lookout for when someone did a good job with something. And there's no shortage of opportunities to let people know that
So
they've done
many
something well.
brilliant
Yeah.
people out there.
So many brilliant people. And
Ah,
even just something as simple as, like going to the grocery store and you really like the shirt someone picked out, just say, hey, that's a really cool shirt, and just walk away. That lingers with a person. It stays with them for days, sometimes even a lifetime. I've got good taste in clothes. And then what does that do? They make sure that they, dress the way that they feel, and then it sparks creativity in somebody else. And I'm not saying this super eloquently, but it's basically like when everyone is uncertain if what they're doing is enough, and we have the power to say, yes, yes, it is, then all of a sudden the response is, hey, maybe it is. And then they have the courage. You asked at the beginning of the call about being brave. Then they have the courage. Then they're brave enough to go do the thing that they're called to do or that they feel is right, or to bring the part of themselves to the table that they were thinking they needed to hide, or write the thing that they weren't sure anyone would want to read, or make the acting choice that they weren't sure anyone would find funny. They do it and it delights somebody and it opens somebody else up. And it's like putting little,
Yeah,
glow lights out into the world.
little
Yeah,
bits
it's
of magic.
beautiful.
I did this thing. I had we all know those people, and maybe you're one of those people. I don't know. I'm not one of those people. And one day I got really, really frustrated, and I asked a friend of mine who is one of those people, can you please explain to me how these people, they have full-time jobs, they wake up early, they exercise every single day, they eat healthy food, they complete their job, they go home and they have family time, they somehow have social lives, they clean the house, they do all the things, and they seem fine. And me, I'm killing myself.
Yeah.
I'm not in the booth that long. I have a little admin. I don't have any other responsibilities. I have no commute. And all I did was add, it's a long walk, but I added a walk to my day. And suddenly it's nighttime and the day's over and time to get ready for the next morning. So I can get up and get. But it was really astounding because they explained. I had him walk through his entire day with me, like what he's thinking when he's doing all those things. And the difference was he's not thinking. And I'm not saying
Hmm.
that in a derogatory way. I'm not,
It's not, yes, but
he's
it's
not
true.
trying everything. He's not trying his hardest and analyzing it and thinking, is this enough? And
Uh-huh.
is it going to fit in? And is this supplement going to fit this supplement? I'm going to be able to record on time. And if I take the matcha 20 minutes before the session and then do the binaural 40 hertz beats 10 minutes, then I can focus for night. He's not doing that. He just
No,
doesn't
no, he's
think.
not. All
He's,
right. I will say though, Daniela, like how many of these people do you actually know? Because I think I know like two. I don't
I
think these
know,
people exist the way we think they do.
I
I
know a
don't think.
lot of them, but I think it's because of my old job at a corporate office.
Okay. Well, I work in, more of the corporate environment now, and I would say that I
You
still know
do.
very few people that, yeah, with Macmillan and being
Yeah.
in,
But they're
on the.
still with the arts, though. This was an oil company.
Well, that's true. Okay, this is a publishing
You know what
company,
I
so
mean?
it's
It
a little
takes a
artsy
special
anyway.
kind of person to work at a company where you're being picketed by Greenpeace every single day. Do
Yeah,
you know what
that's
I
true.
mean?
You're probably right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I do think that these people are fewer and further between than we might imagine
Yeah.
based on kind of what we think the pinnacle of what we need to be is.
And I don't want to
So,
be it anymore. Now that I've
yeah.
heard the replay of that experience, there's a reason I am the way I am, and I don't want to lose that. So
Yeah. And
I'm
that's
no
that's the
longer
call.
jealous.
That's the call to follow. And that's
Yeah.
why it's great to have these conversations where when you say that and you asked me, Emily, are you one of those people? I could say that I am, and then Chris would unmute and say, "What are you talking about?" Because if there is anyone that knows, he has a front row seat to just how much I am like what you described your experience is. Constantly thinking about all these things and trying to get this and trying to do that, and it's exhausting. No, I'm doing all of that all the time. I'm not one of these people that can just like turn it off and go about my business and somehow it all works out. That's just not my experience of living.
And I
Um,
think we're safe playing, we're playing to the right room if we've got mostly narrators and writers
yeah,
watching this
I think
call.
so. But I also think that, you working at that oil company, I am sure, whether you feel like it or not, and whether you've ever gotten any feedback or not that this was the case, I have zero doubts and am 100% certain that you being who you are made an impact on some of those people because you all are different. And we
No,
cannot help but be
I showed
impacted by the
up.
people around us.
I showed up playing an acting role of a super manager for a big team of 18 people. By the time I left that place, Emily, I was decked from head to toe in faux fur and glitter and F you people, you've got no souls.
Yeah. And you
I
don't know what that
was
did. You will never know what that did, but it did something. It
yeah,
did something. Yeah.
yeah. We do. I guess at the end of the day, it's just live your truth. But I think I know that there are new narrators out there that might see this call that really believe, I get this reaction sometimes when I ask people to be guests on this show. Oh, but I don't know if I have anything anyone would be interested in hearing.
Oh,
And I get
I
it a
don't know.
lot.
Maybe I just find people to be endlessly fascinating. I just don't
Yes.
think, I mean, there's no matter where you are with somebody, there's always another layer. And I find people to be endlessly amusing and fascinating. No matter if they seem like the most boring person in the world, they're just not. You just haven't gotten to know them yet. So maybe I'm a little biased, but that's sort of my take is that
But you
you
see
can't
it.
meet a non-interesting person.
You can't, but especially in this business, especially a narrator or a writer. And if I'm asking you on the call, I see it. We all see it. The only person that maybe doesn't see it, but what it is they're comparing themselves to, I'm not like, Scott Brick, or I'm like, yeah, but only Scott Brick is Scott Brick. I'm not Scott
Yeah,
Brick. You know,
I could have just as good of a conversation with Scott Brick as I could with
yeah,
Daniela Acitelli, but they're two different conversations.
right.
Why would I
And
think that one is better than the other?
you could have 5 books and you could have had a fascinating career,
Hmm.
doing something else that
Or
could
you could
change
be, I
all of
mean,
our lives.
one of the people that I ended up having on, the Nomad Narrator was Claudia Dunn, and we didn't talk about audiobooks at all. We talked about audio description the entire time. It wasn't even about audiobooks.
Yeah,
So like people are endlessly fascinating.
yeah. But my wish for all of you out there is that you get how fascinating you are. That's my wish for all of you. Um, I heard a fabulous song today. I can't post the link because they'll probably offend people because there's lots of bad language in it. But my friend shared it with me and I highly recommend it to everyone. It's by someone called Meeks and it's I'm Fabulous or something. But it's let me just look at the title. But I'm not recommending it for those people that don't like
What
bad
was that?
language. I
Did you
accidentally
just play something? I feel
I
like
put my
my
phone on to find the call and it
Oh, okay, I see.
yeah, hold on one second. It's called, if you guys have a chance to look up, it's called Meek. The group is Meek, Meek, and the song is Fabulous. If you get a chance to listen to that song, it's gorgeous. Not for children. Don't do it when your child's in the room. So-
I will have to give that one a listen. I made a playlist a couple years ago that was like all I think I titled it like self-love jams, and it was like all of the songs that made me feel like super pumped up, and that I could like do anything. And whenever I was feeling blue, I would just listen to that playlist. But my songs are old. I need new songs, so I'll
Well,
take a listen to that one.
yeah, there's some I like when I'm watching something, if the soundtrack comes on and the movie moves me or something, I'll like save it. But I think it's just I've done a big playlist on Spotify of like podcasts and motivational things and stoicism. I'm really into stoics at the
Oh,
moment.
Stoics are very interesting, aren't they?
Yeah, I just love
They've
them.
got, it's funny how I feel like when I think about the Stoics, I feel like they have this air of legitimacy because they're like philosophy and they're Grecian and all of that, but
Mhm.
they're really kind of woo-woo and out there. And and yet it has this really sort of legitimized view of it. But I always find it interesting when I meet someone that likes the Stoics because I feel like, oh, I think I understand a little something about the way you see the world.
I love them. I was like, oh my God, I finally found people that speak my language. I
Mm.
love them. I do. I would have done great, I think, in the military if it weren't for the nobody tells me what to do and political crap and don't tell me to wear a uniform. But besides that, I think I would have been fabulous at the whole wake up early, you can do it kind of like I love that idea. I love the
Yeah.
idea of working hard. I do. But I have to say I've noticed something about you on this call. You seem How have you changed since our last call? Because you seem changed.
Oh. Oh, that's an interesting question. Uh, I think, well, I moved to New York, which was a big change in my life. And since I moved to New York, my career has changed quite a bit. And I think I have moved in the direction of spending more time around a lot more people who are not as much like me. And I think that finding my way through that has involved recognizing that I think what I've been working on a lot this year is finding how to stay true to myself while also being in this new environment. And I think that's something we did actually talk about this a little bit at our last meeting right after I got back from my big road trip. Um, because you had said something about, uh, my website looks a little bit more formal, but then like in person, we talk about our big fur faux rainbow
Yeah.
coats, which I love.
Yeah.
And you had encouraged me to just wear the big fur faux rainbow coat. And I think what I have continued to try to learn how to do is to, yes, do that, but also to understand that not everyone gets that and to try to get what they get, not to change myself, but because that's their big fur faux rainbow coat. And if I want them to appreciate mine, then I need to understand them. And I like the ability to kind of speak both languages. So I think
Yeah.
that if anything, that might be what's changed is I've spent a lot more time around a lot of people that I've had to really understand what their priorities are and what matters to them, and not just be true to myself in the way that feels most natural, but learn how to be true to myself in the way that I'm still considering what others need from me.
I'm because I have to say, nothing's changed at all about the things you say and Emily, but what the big change is your energy. On this call, your energy walked into the room and took its seat on the throne. That's what it's giving. That's what it's giving Queen era energy. And that's
I have to tell my friend Tia this. One of my author friends who I've worked with, Tia Levings. She had her book, A Well-Trained Wife, was like instant New York Times bestseller, and we just finished recording her new book, which is about recovery from religious trauma. It's called I Belong to Me. She is a amazing, strong woman, and she and I were talking during her recording that she is in her queen era. They say, what is it? Maid and mother crone are like the three phases of a woman's life. And she says, absolutely not. There is a whole queen era that
yeah.
people have ignored. And she is in her queen era. And I cannot wait to share with Tia that you
That's
said this about
exactly what
queen
that's
energy because I
your
love it.
energy has been front and center in the room and it's shifted. Not that it was bad before, but it's profound now. It's quite something.
Well, thank you
So
so much,
whatever you're
Daniela.
doing, bottle it, you'll make a fortune.
Awesome. Awesome.
Okay, we've come to the point of the night that we all look forward to so much, and that is when I ask you if you could give one piece of advice. If a writer embarking on their career struggling to stare down that page, if a narrator who's joined and feels like the rest of the world's getting a lot of work and maybe they're not getting as much or they don't know who to go to or what next step to take or how to have faith in themselves, what would you want to leave them with from this conversation if you left them with nothing else? What piece of advice would you give these people?
Does it have to be like one sentence or can I explain a little
More
bit?
than one is much better. Good for the
Great.
clip.
Okay. So, my biggest piece of advice is a little trite, but I'm going to elaborate. It's that you have to love yourself. Now, the explanation of that is we don't always feel like we love ourselves. That's what the struggle is, right? So, what kind of advice is that if you're struggling to love yourself and you're told you got to love yourself? Well, that feels impossible. Go love someone else. Go out, give a compliment, write a note to someone letting them know how much something meant to you. Um, you don't have to know them. It can be a complete stranger. But when you give that out first, there is just something that happens where it starts to become a reciprocal thing. And you will start to have instances, or even maybe just notice instances more where it comes back to you, and then you feel it. And when you feel it from other people, you can start to feel it from yourself as well. And it becomes this cycle. And it's no longer just something that is this nebulous thing that you don't understand because you don't know what it feels like. Once you understand what something feels like, you can move toward it. So then kind of the second piece of advice for that, or the extension of that piece of advice, is what you have to do is, if you love yourself enough to truly let yourself say, what is it that I want most? What is my real heart's desire? What is my purpose in being here? What is it that I think, if I really deserved the life that I want most, what would that look like? And almost never is it actually going to come back some of the things that we would think. I want this fancy car, or I want this, or I want that. It's almost always going to be something like, I want to travel around the entire world, or I want to have a relationship with someone that I feel really gets me, or I'm struggling to come up with examples, but it's not usually status symbols or money, or kind of, oops, my phone is ringing, sorry about that. It's not usually those kind of things. It's something that feels like a real call from our heart, right? And so if you truly love yourself enough to let yourself imagine what that thing would be, you can almost reverse engineer your way there. And you can ask yourself, what would need to happen in order to move in that direction? And you can feel it, and you can feel like it's almost like an as if. You have to just start acting as if to move in the direction, as if it's already happened. If in my life today, it doesn't seem at all possible to be someone that full time has a job traveling around the world. And I'm not even saying that's actually what I want. I like traveling. I travel quite a bit, but that's not the one thing I want to do with my life. This is just a for instance. If that's what I want, and it doesn't feel anywhere close to possible with where I am now, what would it feel like if it was possible? That's where our imagination comes in. That's where our creativity comes in, is imagining a world that doesn't exist yet and then acting as if it does. The next time that someone asks you to, make a decision about something, that's in the back of your mind. Does this get me closer to that? The next time that an opportunity comes up that you might have initially shied away from, all of a sudden you find yourself saying yes. The next time, it's an actual thing that our brains do, where when we know what it is that we're looking for, we start seeing it everywhere. And if you act as if, you will continue to get closer and closer and closer to the thing that it is that you want. And like the self-love versus the showing love for other people versus it coming back from you, it's the same thing. It starts this cycle of feedback where when you move in that direction, then the next thing will happen. And you will see it a little bit faster, or it will be a little bit more likely to happen. When there are failures along that path, when it doesn't work out, instead of taking it as, oh, well, that's the feedback from the universe that this is never supposed to work, then you realize, oh, that's just not the way it was supposed to work. But I'm going to keep my attention sparked for the next opportunity that comes along. And normally we just kind of defeat ourselves and we don't keep our attention, perked for imagination. And you just have to love
Life is
yourself. That's what it
cosplay.
all boils down to.
Life is cosplay, and we're not choosing our outfit. We're like just
And
like
that's why you have to, yes, that's why you have
what
to take being silly very seriously.
who said we're all in drag? We are. We're just choosing our outfit.
I
It's
don't know that one, but I think that I completely agree
I'm not
100%.
sure, but I think it might have been RuPaul, but maybe it's like a really famous literary author, and I'm calling myself out here thinking it's RuPaul. But he said, I'm gonna look for
But
that
we're
quote.
all
But yeah,
performing ourselves.
yeah.
Yeah, we're all performing We're all performing who we think we should be, and we can choose a different way to perform that every day that gets us closer to what our actual heart's desire is. And your actual heart's desire is what's best for everybody else. Like, it
Yeah,
is not selfish to want what you want. You would not have been given that want if there wasn't some need for it in the world around you. So we have to move toward those things. It's our job. It's our one job as people.
I love that. It's like what Florence Given says, live your life trying to get other people to think, who does she think she is? Challenge other people. Live your life
Yeah. And then that
so
challenges
fully.
them to do the same.
Yep, yep. And you're burning a path. Yeah.
Mhm.
You are you're a force. I just thank you so much for joining us. I'm so glad we made this happen. It was worth the wait. Let's catch up next year. I'm going to chase you.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me back. I can't wait.
Thanks so much, Emily. And thank you all for joining. You're all amazing. Mwah! Bye. Bye.